the Dark Order in that match, just to kind of say, hey, we're part of this tag team division and we want respect.
That would be awesome to actually see that happen because there is a video of the SSB now, as you said, Dark Order, taking on the Young Bucks, and that's probably where they really established some relation at that time. And it was a really good battle. Could happen again as one of their actual debuts, and that could happen as early as All Out on August 31st back in Chicago.
Yeah, I mean, when you think of SSB or Dark Order, you've got Evil Uno, who is charismatic and like I said, for a guy his size, should not be able to move the way he does. And then you got Stu Grayson, who's, I mean, probably one of the most gifted pound for pound athletes probably in North America. So can't wait. I really can't wait to see them interact with the guys from AEW.
Yeah, and as I speculated, that could happen at All Out, and that's also with Starcast 3, but it'd be a perfect opportunity to have them go against the Young Bucks. Currently, only 2 matches are announced, as we said, Omega taking on Moxley, but also there's a singles match to crown the first ever AEW World Champion, as we saw when Adam Page won the Casino Battle Royale on the pre-show of Double or Nothing, and Chris Jericho being Omega. They're going to face off against each other to determine the first champion.
So the piss off in this is the bias, and when I say that, it's they're going to determine number one contender through Omega and Moxley, but the fact that you've got to pick Jericho over Hangman in this one, and I've read a lot of reports on the internet saying if you're going to build a brand, put Chris Jericho in the forefront. But to me, I'd do it the other way. I'd put Hangman Adam Page as the first ever champion and kind of build around this guy who's relatively new to the wrestling universe. I mean, if you've been a fan of New Japan or Ring of Honor, whatever the case may be, or the Being the Elite series, then you know who the hell he is. But if not, build it with him, build it with a new guy, and see where it goes. Jericho's already established, so you don't need to reestablish him. But Hangman Page, I think, building that brand around a guy like that, and you've heard me compare Jim Strider to a guy like Hangman Page. There's a reason for it, because Hangman's one of the most gifted guys in the world. And when you think about back to the very first All In and his match against Joey Janela in the Cracker Barrel match, that stands out to a lot of wrestling fans. He's multi-talented, he's gifted, and he's a young guy, and it's somebody good to build a brand around.
For sure, I can definitely see that. And there's also the other side of the coin, and it's sort of WWE booking, mind you, as that it's always better in a way to have a heel champion with the face chasing the champion, and then you get that big moment. So you could kind of give it to Jericho and have Page chase after Jericho and build him up to that sort of status where you were talking, where somebody build the company around afterwards. But in WWE terms, you then get a Kofi Kingston or Daniel Bryan out of Hangman Page.
Yeah, it's interesting because they get so much talent as far as AEW goes, and I'm talking like they split up tag teams. I'm not talking the Young Bucks, but I mean, if all of a sudden they decide to split up the Lucha Brothers, I mean, Phoenix and Pentagon as singles wrestlers against like Jericho, Omega, whatever the case may be. It just, man, they got all sorts of options as far as that company goes.
Exactly. And looking at some of the other news around the wrestling world, I did notice that Eli Drake has announced that he's now a free agent. So it's possible that he could also be that yet to be determined person teaming with the Lucha Brothers.
Yeah, no, not happening. As much as I'm a fan of Eli Drake, I just can't see him interacting with the Lucha Brothers. It's, I think he'd be hitting them both with gravy trains.
Interesting. So not much else going on in the wrestling world. Of course, Ric Flair provided a health update. Apparently, he has a pacemaker, and he's being sued for comments that he ended up making. Unfortunately, he doesn't know when to keep quiet. and he's got to now beef with Shawn Michaels over what he said on the 30 for 30, even though they've run into each other numerous times. I guess Ric Flair kicking out for the God knows how many time from going to the great beyond has kind of loosened a couple screws, and he had a couple videos where he just went on off on everybody.
Yeah, like I said, difference between him as an individual and him as a person, and him as an individual and him as a performer. But uh, hopefully, he gets his shit together.
Exactly. So yeah, kind of quiet beyond everything else involving the wrestling world. I think that's where we're going to wrap things up, talking about AEW and the stuff to look forward to over their next couple of months with their events.
Hold on,
And
hold on, I got one thing to say. If you're ending this show, we're gonna end this show properly.
okay,
So right now it is 7:30 at night on June 13th, 2019. Beyond wrestling, there is this maybe Game 6 happening tonight. And as a Canadian, as a basketball fan, the only thing I could say is hopefully the Raptors come out in Golden State more aggressive than they did in Game 5, and we see NBA champions crowned tonight.
yeah, it'd be nice to see that finally come to Canada, because this is their first time in the finals and being as close as they are. So go Raptors.
Yeah, just
We the
imagine.
North.
I was going to say, imagine the parade's going to take place if the Raptors are able to clinch tonight.
Well, look at all the different Jurassic Parks that have popped out throughout Canada, and including here in London. St. Thomas has one. Like, it's sweeping the country. For people who might not have even watched basketball before, they have now something to watch and cheer on.
Yeah, I mean, like Kawhi is hopefully they re-sign him in the offseason, but if you watched even the tail end of Game 5, you can see what he can do as a player. Just in the final moments, and we almost, as a country, won it in Game 5. But can't wait an hour from now. I'll be sitting a beer in hand in front of my TV and enjoying the Raptors. Like I said, hopefully winning that championship. And shouts out to Sebastian Suave, because I know he's a huge Raptors fan. And I know he'll be online probably posting as far as the game goes, just hits and misses as far as what his thoughts are.
Exactly. So we'll wrap it up, and we'll see what happens over the next 7 days in the world of wrestling. Thank you for joining me, Chris,
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me.
as always. And just make sure people tune in for the new segment we're going to have on our Facebook page and our YouTube channel, and it's called The Production Line. We're going to see tomorrow's stars built today from the Tyson Dukes Wrestle Factory. So that's going to be on our Facebook page. You won't want to miss it. And also subscribe to our podcast on one of 14 different outlets, including Podcoin, Stitcher, Spotify, and iTunes. Catch us on our Facebook page with the Wrestler of the Day celebrating somebody's birthday, and Alex Acosta presenting viewing parties most nights at 7 o'clock. So until next time, have a good one.
Yo, this is Tarek. You listen to Scumbags of Wrestling. Punch, kick, chop, done.
Surrounded by a bunch of loudmouth scumbags that just want attention. deserve it, and right now I need you all to silence your cell phones, hold your applause, and shut your mouths.
The podcast you just heard was made using Anchor. Ever thought about making your own podcast? Anchor makes it really easy for anyone to get started. It's a one-stop shop for recording, hosting, and distributing podcasts. Best of all, it's 100% free. Sign up now at anchor.fm/new. That's anchor.fm/new to get started.